Hello, welcome back to the PoddiMouths podcast. I am Peyton Cubic, and this is where my dad and his friend John talk about random stuff in life or the things they found on the internet. I hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as I did. Here they are now.
We can relax and we can bullshit.
We always do both of those things.
Well, it wouldn't be PoddiMouths if we did that. Yeah.
Which part? The relax part?
That too.
No, because we never do the BS part ever.
No.
How's it going? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I like the hat. What's the hat today?
Oh, it's Breckenridge, Colorado.
Oh, I have something about that. Remind me in a bit.
Hey, John, what about flushed? Breckenridge, Colorado?
I'll tell you later. Are you flushed? Because you're
no,
blushing?
I haven't. So we talked about, and we're calling this the spare, guys, even though it will go up as a regular episode. But John and I actually have one in the can.
Can you believe it?
We actually have one in the can before.
Honestly.
Yeah,
that is so unlike us.
It is so unlike us.
I think the most we ever had, we had two one time, didn't we?
Well, a couple of times we've done it. Just like when we actually plan ahead, like we know we're going to be on vacation, so we'll do a couple. But we need to be better at that. We really do. Going into our 7th season, we should.
Oh my gosh,
actually work on that.
But we're at least 6 years stupid. Seriously.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a learning
time
process
now for the 7th year.
Yeah, we're just now starting to learn how to do this right. So anyway, we have one in the can, and I said in the last one, which, you know, when we're recording this, hasn't even been released yet, but it will be released by the time y'all hear this. And yes, I did say y'all.
I know.
But, you know, I've been home all week because of Jen's COVID.
And how is she feeling, by the way?
She's fine. She's all better. She's past it.
Good.
So I haven't trimmed any. So I haven't trimmed my hair, which you can't see because I always wear a hat on here. But I also haven't trimmed my beard, so I can see it in the camera. You probably can't see it, but it feels like it's just like poofy.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So, no.
So no manscaping either. You haven't done any manscaping?
Nothing like that. No. I mean, why? Well, I'm not going anywhere. My wife's got COVID, so you know.
Yeah, but. I'm not sure that is a detractor necessarily. I'm just saying, maybe
we're different people, John. We're different people.
Whatever. I think clearly that's what makes PoddiMouths work.
So now I'm curious about Breckenridge. Yes. Tell me about Breckenridge.
Well, so at some point, Lisa and I were watching something on TV, and it was just the reminder of the mountains and how pretty they are. And she said, you know, we should really do a road trip out west. And we did that during COVID, during Coco. We went, and you and I have talked about it because it was so much fun. South Dakota, saw the monuments, all of that. And it was it was a really fun trip. But we were not in any rush for anything. We had a week just to dick around, and we did that ad nauseum. And it was great. So she said, maybe we should. So I thought, well, whatever. There's a website called Hip Camp. You and I have talked about it.
Yes,
in fact, you probably turned me on to it. And it's just really intuitive. It's got some really nice camping spots if you were going to take a trailer, let's say, and hook it on the back of, say, a white F-150,
right,
and just go west, young man and young lady. And so Hip Camp will allow you to say where you are, where you're going, and then they will show you campgrounds in between for the road trip. It's really a smart. It's still in beta, but so it's not, quite where it needs to be, but it's a really smart way to kind of get a sense of, how far do I want to drive in a day?
Sure.
Do you do that too when you do camping trips? Do you figure what's your typical day drive hours?
Depends on who's with me.
Oh, okay.
If
you were with the Harlem Globetrotters, let's say, how many hours?
Well, that would definitely be an all day. I'd go from sunrise to sunset.
Okay.
No, I mean, it seriously does. I think Peyton at this point in life has said to me that her cap is about 4 hours. So we'll do maybe 4.5. We'll push it.
For the total day, or 4 and then a break and then another?
For the total day.
Okay. All right.
I think now granted, we've never tried the break thing in the middle, but
she knows that though.
Yeah,
good
she's
for
like
her.
4 or 5 hours is pretty much her limit.
Yep.
Jen, I would say, she would never tell me this, but I would say she's probably about the same. I mean, we've done lots of long road trips before, but me, I get in the car and unless I'm falling asleep at the wheel, I'll just go until I get to my destination. That's just how I am. And I
and so what's your normal?
myself and
Jeez. Well, yes, you do before you go, so you don't have to pee.
Exactly. So I'll just go until my tank is empty, and then I'll fill it up, and I'll just keep going until unless I'm falling asleep. Or when I did do Breckenridge, I had to stop because I knew timing wise that if I kept going and went to where I was going to camp, I'd be going in the dark, and you don't want to do that, especially if you're in the wilderness,
right.
At 13,000 feet. You just don't do that. That would be dumb. So I stopped.
I would agree.
Even though I could have kept going, I stopped.
Do you? So what is your max or your when you're on a trip? Because you've done work trips in the past like that too.
So work trip is a little bit different because work trip has a cap. Not because I get tired or don't want to drive. It has a cap because there's a certain cutoff where there's more. It would take me longer to drive there than it would for me to fly and go through multiple stops and rent a car and stuff like that. So, or price. Price is also a deciding factor for a certain amount of miles. So my cap for work is about 6.5 hours. That's when when I hit 6.5, that's when I kind of go, I could either fly or I could drive. Anything less than that, I'll probably drive.
But for a regular drive on a, let's just say not vacation necessarily, but an enjoyable road trip. If you're going not for work, but you're going for pleasure, you got to have that number in mind. And for me, it's about 6. It's about, and we're going to stop in between. And that's the leisurely part of a nice trip that you're not trying to, set any land speed records, and you're not trying to, well, let's see how many hours I can go. I'm beyond that. I mean, we used to do that when we were young. Yeah, I did 28 hours. I couldn't believe it. And, and then you throw up and die for a couple of days. And I'm not willing to do that either. So, but it's like 6, if I can keep it around 6. And so from here, Florida, Southwest Florida to Gunnison is where we kind of landed on a nice campground for, 2-3 nights and then turn around and come back and camp on the way back. So it's a weekend change trip probably. Okay. But if it's more than, 8 hours, 8.5 hours, that's a little much to make it a for fun, camping trip with your spouse. So anyway, it's been kind of fun to figure out where the stops might be.
Well, and when you're doing fun stuff like that, you also want to see the sights. So, it might be 6 or 8 hours. Yeah, but you want to stop along the way and see things, so it might take longer.
I'm not as sighty as you are.
Really? See, I love stuff like that. I know if I have to pay to go into a museum or something, I'm not doing that. But I do like to see the sights,
the free stuff.
And also it also depends on whether you're taking the freeway or the back roads.
Yes. Well, and so that's where if I'm on the Harley, it's the back roads.
Yeah.
If we're taking the truck, pulling a trailer. Yeah, I mean, you could do both, or but I guess I'm not sold on that yet. I'm not quite there. We're talking about dates, and there's a cutoff for going to Colorado that I don't want to be there in December.
Sure, why not? But, okay.
Well, I mean, it's fine, but I'm kind of defeating the Florida idea by doing that. Well, we got 14 feet of snow last night in Gunnison, Colorado, and
sounds good to me.
Yeah. And it would be fine if that's what you planned for.
Right.
But I can't imagine myself planning. So I'm thinking October, the middle end of October should be safe, should be maybe snow cap in the upper altitudes. And
depending on how high you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. It might be
that sounds like fun.
So we're thinking about that. That might be a fun thing I've been dabbling in.
It does surprise me, though, that you're talking about hip camp. And hip camp is great. I love hip camp. We've cool. used it a few times and absolutely love it. But it surprises me that in doing the hip camp thing, instead of getting the harvest host and just hitting wineries and breweries and distilleries on the way out.
And you could, except then you buy a membership and now you're committed for a longer period of time.
Yeah. But it's it's $100 for a year. Well, it's still cheaper than hip camp.
That's a good point. Well, hip camp isn't that built into the fees at the sites?
What do you mean?
I think it is. I think hip camp. What do you mean? It's cheaper than hip camp? I see what you're saying.
You have to pay every time
at each site. Well, yeah. And Harvest Hosts would. And again, I'm in the early stages of that. I'm a big proponent of Harvest Hosts. I like that idea. However, if you're not, there are a pretty good number of them where you're boondocking.
Oh, yeah. Almost all of them.
And so if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But then you have to figure out dump places, potentially generator, all of that stuff. So I'm still on the, do we rent one here or do we just drive there, do hotels on the way, rent one, and then drive back? So you could make an argument for that too. I don't know. So I'm still tossing it around, and that's half, for me, that's half the fun. Maybe it's
absolutely
all the fun.
The
really,
planning, once you're actually doing it, it's never as fun as the idea behind it. I mean, I love looking back at my solo camping trip in the mountains, and it was fantastic to plan. I had a blast. Finding all the gear and making sure everything was right and packing the thing. But when I got up there and started unpacking and setting up my tent in the rain and getting down to like 40 degrees at night, it was like, did I really want to do this?
I remember you telling me about that when it's raining, and I'm going, oh no, because you know what? That was not in the plan.
That was not in the plan. Not in the plan.
I did not anticipate rain at all.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I always had a plan. I mean, I had all my rain gear and stuff like that. But
well, it's not like you can't deal with it, but it's not in your mind as you're envisioning the trip.
Yep. Yeah,
at all.
Yeah. When you're there, it's never as good, but it's always fun getting there, and it's always fun talking about afterwards.
Oh,
that's for sure. Find that with I honestly, I love nature. I love being out in nature. I love camping, but that's always the case. When I get out there, I'm like, it is what it is. I mean, it's pretty. I'm done. I'm ready to go home.
Oh my gosh. Forgive me here. There is something that is going to be worth your seeing, but I just need to send it to myself so I can open it up and share it on the screen, because something happened yesterday, not to change our subject, but it was hilarious. And
is this the picture I saw on
it probably is. Did Lisa already post it?
Yeah,
she's such a killjoy. I mean, in a good way. Socially, social media
right.
Okay, well, I'm still going to show it because it's one thing that
our viewers, listeners need to see it.
They do, and the story behind it is just it's just hilarious. And of course, here I am waiting for it to come from my phone, and it doesn't like to do that because there's no rush from my phone.
Exactly. I was working on some social posts last night for Jen's studio. And she actually, it wasn't even a social post. It was a blog post. And I had a picture of Peyton in the blog post when she was performing. And Jen didn't like the picture. So she's like, I'm going to send you the picture I want. And I was, because my phone and the studio phone are connected. They use the same Apple ID. So I get all the pictures from the studio phone. And I'm like, is it on the studio phone? She's like, no, it's on my phone. So I said, airdrop it. She airdrops it. I see it on my phone. So if it's on my phone, I know it's on my computer. And I go on there and it's not on my computer, and I'm waiting and I'm uploading and downloading and I'm syncing and
serious.
And 99% of the time it works. But the one time I absolutely need it to work because I need it for something I'm doing, it just refused to go.
Yeah.
And then it disappeared on my phone.
Totally get it. And that is the thing. It becomes mindless, and that's the problem with technology.
Yeah.
When it works, you go, yes. But then it becomes, I expect it to work now. And when it doesn't, you just drives me.
And it works. The worst part is it reminds me of the post that I've seen. And this is one of those, feel good posts that I always see where the teacher writes 10 math problems, but purposely does one wrong and everyone laughs. And he said, this is a good example of life. You can do 9 things perfectly and no one says a word, but you do one thing wrong and everyone laughs.
So true.
It's the same thing in just in a weird way.
That is absolutely true. And it's what people pay attention to. And that is a challenge especially for technology companies, it's just one of those things that we end up dealing with all the time. It seems like
absolutely. Technology will fail. It's just like anything else.
Only if I'm operating it.
Right.
That's
what Jen says too.
Yeah. Yeah. She's not wrong. I mean, I would say she's not wrong because that's how my life goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, let's see if I can share it. That would be really good since I'm sitting here pretending. that I have this.
Well, while you're another good
blah.
example is I just showed John before we got on the episode a website that I'm working on for somebody. There it is. All right, we'll get back to my story. Explain.
I'm sorry, and we'll get back to the website story. We walked into a restaurant in Matlacha, Florida. Matlacha. Matlacha. I thought it was a guy. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's a town.
Okay.
And there were 2 other people there. This guy just had his rotator cuff surgery the day before,
and she
had hers
identical
done a few
sling.
days. I know, the same. And she is in the other room of the restaurant. All 3 of us are there, same surgery at the same time. And we're just like, shut up. And sure enough, there we were.
Maybe it was a subliminal message from the doctor's office.
I don't even know. But, no, 3 different doctors. We went through that too.
I didn't say doctor. I said office. It's a conspiracy. They were planting subliminal messages at wherever you guys were that said you all have to go to this restaurant on this day.
Well, we all bought into it. That's for sure. It was hilarious. And I'm walking around thinking, well, at least I'll get sympathy. Nope, not from him. Nope. And I walk in and he goes, hey, I don't know that guy. And then I go, oh, looking at his face and I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's funny. Your rotator cuff surgery blind. That was a mouth. Yeah,
I know. We have the rotator cuff surgery club, and we have meetings now.
That's good.
Every time we get a rotator cuff done.
My name's John, and I'm a recovering rotator cuff surgery patient.
I'm a rotator. Yes.
What did I say? You're a rotator.
You are a rotator. Rotate, not potato.
Yeah, rotator.
Potato. Yeah. Anyway, so that was pretty funny. So, yes, your website. Yeah. Talk about the website that you're working on.
So, I'm working on trying to get the contact us page to work. Mm-hmm. If you fill out the form, it sends to whatever email you address it to. Now, I've built on my system. I use WordPress most of the time, and I've built probably 25 websites using the same plugin to do lead forms. Basically, they're lead forms. And for some reason, I just can't get it to work on this website. And it's like, I literally have 12 websites, all using the same thing, all working perfectly, never had a problem with it, and just this one. And I'm just swearing up. I mean, I'm looking at changing the product completely. It's worked 11 times. This 12th time, it's not working, and I'm done. I'm just done.
Why can't they create anything that works?
Exactly. This company sucks. I'm done.
I hate them. Yeah, and then you think, well, how do I replace them now?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't. Yeah, you can't.
No,
it's too much work.
But you can always pay for an upgrade because that'll solve all your problems.
Yes, it sure will. And I've done that on the sites that I've created. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's not good. It is not good. So yes, all right. So camping, we've talked about. That was and
camping, technology,
rotator cuffs.
Man, I guess we're done. I mean, that was a quick one.
That was really our list, wasn't it?
So much planning goes into these episodes.
I know. Let's say ukuleles.
Ukuleles. I have one of those downstairs. You got one of those?
Right in front of me.
Nice. Mine's not in front of me. Mine's downstairs.
So we had our granddaughter use it, and because it was a little guitar. Well, it's a pretty nice. It's a Fender ukulele. So nice. I mean, it's a pretty nice one. It's not, $500 or anything, but it's relatively nice. It's kind of been in my closet in my office because she comes and you want her to be able to use it and so on. So I don't display it necessarily with my other guitars. Well, I moved the office around, and now my massive monitor, which I see your massive head on right now.
Yeah.
Beautiful though. Very.
Thank you.
Attractive head.
I'm very, very coiffed.
I needed it to be smaller because my full-size guitar hangs down behind the monitor. Not with a ukulele. It's perfect height, right?
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
That's how the uke got on my wall.
Yeah, I need to do. That's my next project, is to figure out how to hang all of our guitars, because I bought Peyton one. I have one.
Oh, okay.
We have the ukulele, and I'm not going to. She just got a violin, but she didn't buy it. She's renting it because she always wanted to play violin, and so that's interesting. So Peyton wanted to play piano, so we got a piano.
Mm-hmm.
Then Peyton wanted to play guitar, so we got her a guitar. Well, actually, let me back that up. Peyton wanted to play guitar, so my dad got her a ukulele to learn how to play.
Okay.
And then she never played that. And then she said, she brought a guitar home from school because she was doing this. It was called Girls Write, and it was a music writing thing at her middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And so she brought it home and learned how to play a little bit. So I bought her a guitar, thinking, oh, she's going to really dig that. And over the summer, she can learn. Never touched it. So now, for the last few years, I would say she's been begging to learn how to play violin. And I have said time and time again, we got you a piano, we got you a ukulele, we got you a guitar, and you refuse to learn how to play those.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to spend the money? I'm getting you a violin if you're
Fair
not
question.
Play.
Fair dad question.
She fought. So finally, she joins orchestra at school. They give her a violin to learn on, so she's learning the violin. And I'm happy to buy her one if she keeps going with it, but she's got to prove to me that she's actually going to do it.
What do you think drove her to violin, or what to want to play that?
I don't know.
Somebody else, a friend playing it, maybe?
No. Well, this is going to be way out there for you, but I think Peyton is a reincarnation of my mother, or some aspect of my mother is deep within her, because my mom, when I was a kid, like 5 years old, instead of putting me in hockey like I really wanted to do, she put me in violin lessons. My mom loved the violin. She always wanted, and I hated it. I didn't want anything to do with it. I never practiced. I think I was done by the time I was 5.5.
You always told me your mom was into sax and violins.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So Peyton has some of those.
Yeah, I think she's got some of those tendencies because she just wants. Awesome. But if she truly did, she'd be playing the piano, because my mom loved playing the piano too. So I don't know. I have no idea where it's coming from. We do have musicians in the family. Mm-hmm. So,
well, half of it is just having the stuff around. Half of it. Yeah. The other half, I'm not sure what the other half is, but so yes, here's me at a mediocre guitar player on a good day. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 full-size guitars, a bass guitar, and a ukulele. And I probably play the piano more than I play the bass or any of the other guitars. So
yeah,
whatever.
Well, I still haven't been able to learn to play the guitar very well at all. Like I can strum it. I know the chords, but I can't strum and do the chords at the same time yet. And I know it takes practice, but
it does.
I tried when I was in my early 20s, and I just couldn't get it. It's not clicking for me for some reason.
It's like a next level of commitment, though.
Yeah.
And because I can, obviously you can always go onto YouTube and you can find, the next lesson. And of course they want you to buy their whole, I don't blame them. I do the same thing, but
why not?
But you try something new that they give you and you go, and you're like starting all over again. And well, come on, I know how to play the songs. I can just, and then you stop doing it.
Yep. Yeah, because you are busy doing other things, and then you try to go back, and then you're disturbing your daughter while she's watching TV. It's all those things that get in the way.
It is all of those things. Have you played piano at all?
I took piano lessons when I was young, and I just didn't really get into it.
I took this was actually before they offered them online. The courses might have been advertised on a guy's website, but he had CDs, not DVDs, CDs that taught you how to play. And I learned to play the piano like that. And
cool.
I'm not proficient probably, but that's how I learned to play. And Michael was much younger then, and he would watch me a little bit and, ask a question. I said, I will pay for piano lessons for you. We have the piano. And so why don't you? And nope, I'm good. And then he just would. And so we just stopped pressuring him. And then one day he decided that, okay, so let me understand. So he's trying to learn theory as he's watching me play. My theory is, I probably shouldn't be playing because that's my theory.
Sure.
But then of course he went on to to work with these 2 massive guitar tab books, learning to play guitar by tabs, which is a whole different element. of how it's done now. Nashville, there's a new another way now. It's Nashville something, I can't think what it's called. Nashville Notes or Nashville Numbers, Nashville Numbering System, I think it's called. And he knows how to do that too. So he's a music major in college, and it all started with, look, we could help you as you know, you do this. Nope, I got it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So
whatever. You just never know.
But the cool part is when they land on it themselves.
Yeah.
And then it speaks to them somehow, then they're going to do it forever. So that's the hopeful part.
I mean, can you remember back? I don't know if your parents had an idea in mind for you, but I know my mom did. She knew what she thought I should do, and I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't end up doing any of it.
Piano lessons, same.
Yeah.
But it was for 6 months tops.
Yeah.
And I was out because I think there's something about being 13 years old, and that's really probably up there with the last thing you want to be doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be music. I did that with golf. You know, everyone meaning my family thought I was going to be a professional golfer, not like a touring pro, but like teaching at a golf course management, stuff like that.
Sure.
For a long time, I was even looking at colleges for that and didn't end up doing anything. I didn't really care about that.
Were you in the golf team in high school? Did you play?
I was not on my high school team. I was on the team when I was in middle school. But no, you know what? It was one of those things, strangely enough, I could go out and play with golf with the guys that were on the high school golf team.
Mm-hmm.
And during the summer, I could kick their ass. Then when I went and tried out for the team, they kicked my ass. So I just never had the competitive side of me that really even cared. So, and they could turn it on and off. You know, they were out having fun in the summer, just screwing around, which is why I beat them. And then they could turn on that competitive streak and just crush me.
Huh.
And I was like, I don't care.
And that's kind of how I am now, but I enjoy playing golf a lot more than when I used to get pissed when I hit a bad shot, or I did not enjoy. I mean, I didn't enjoy because I wasn't that good. When if you don't play enough, you're not going to be that good. That's all there is to it. It's not it's not a coincidence that the touring pros they get done with a round of golf and they go to the driving range. Yeah. I go to the bar. Seriously? No kidding. And
there's a pro that does that. Yeah, John Daly.
Yeah, John Daly. Well, he tells the story about Tiger Woods, who comes in, off the course, and Daly's in the bar with a handle of Jack Daniels, or whatever the hell he was drinking back then. And he goes, "Hey, Tiger, come on in." And he tells the story. It's beautiful. And Tiger goes, "No, I'm going to the range." And he says, "Well, come back when you're done." Okay, I will. And so 2 hours later, he's still drinking, and Tiger comes in from the range and he looks at him and "Tiger, come on, sit down." And he goes, "I'll see you tomorrow." Well, next day, John is still hammered, not hungover, probably still hammered. And he's paired with Tiger and beats him. So, and maybe that's the only time it happened, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But it's a great story. And that guy these days is like an old soul of the golf course. And he will, without meaning any disrespect whatsoever, I know guys that played and were friends and knew Arnold Palmer. Mm-hmm. Dude was a drinker.
Really?
Oh boy. In his heyday. And so, don't take it the wrong way. He was he probably one of my favorite golfers ever, if not but just such a great ambassador for the game and so on. But he used to play golf, and he played and he went hard, and because that's kind of what a lot of those guys did back then.
I was going to say that's an era. Yeah.
It didn't pay the money that it pays today. And so anyway, but a friend of mine who got to be friends with him and knew him quite well, but he could power through. And so people look at John Daly and they go, "Oh, that guy, he wasn't the only one." There were a lot of them that had that.
There's something to be said about that. If I go play golf now and hit or take a few swigs of a beer or have a drink or something, I play great. It's when I get to the second or third beer or cocktail, then it starts going downhill.
It's the fine line. And my problem is I never know what the line is. And I've tried it for years. You know, you go and I don't care. It's not like I'm playing for money or anything.
Right.
And if so, who cares? I'm gonna.
If I'm playing for money, I'm probably not drinking.
Well, or just take the money. I don't care. And so I've done it before. In fact, I had one of those. They call it a cooler club.
Yeah,
and you know what it is. So
I know what it is.
It had like a little cooler insulated and a long spout that had, I don't know, like a water bottle. It had the thing that stuck inside of you, twisted on. You could make cocktails, which is what I did. Throw some ice in there, throw this thing on, and it had like a driver head on it.
Yep.
A flip down spout and a pump on the side where you could just pump whatever you had in there out of it and into a glass or whatever. I did it after the second hole, playing with my brother-in-law, and I just didn't say anything. We're by the third tee, and I'm pumping this out. He says, "Well, what you got there?" I said, "I'd have a cocktail." But you cover it with a head cover, and no one's the wiser.
No one's the wiser.
It looks like it's a driver, a fairway wood. Anyway, pretty funny.
That is funny. So one of a good example of how things can, I don't even know how to present this, maybe deceiving or things don't work in the same favor. So our very first listener of this podcast is our Australian friend TJ.
Well, I thought that was me.
I would love to have TJ on the podcast.
I think
it would be a blast. TJ, if you're still listening, which I know you are because you got mad at me last time I said I don't even think he listens anymore.
TJ.
So he and I grew up together, and we used to play golf. We would ride our bikes out to the golf course and play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started, I was always known amongst the people that I play with as having a gorgeous swing. I was always told that.
Nice.
And I could always hit the ball a ton. And it didn't matter though, because when I was hitting it a ton, I was also hitting it either right or hitting it left.
Yes.
Never down the middle. Now TJ comes out and TJ hits the ball, and they're usually what we refer to, those with sensitive ears can cover them right now, because TJ, when we were very young, would hit a lot of bug fuckers, or line drives, but every single time it was straight down the middle. And TJ, I mean, even to this day, we haven't played golf in probably, I don't know, TJ, keep me honest, but 15 years, something like that. Maybe even 17 years, something like, 17, because I think the last time TJ and I got to play golf together was when I got married. No, when my mom died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when my mom died was the last time I think we got to play golf together. But anyway, so that was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, to this day, he beats me every time. I mean, there's I can't. I hit the ball straight now, but he just wipes the floor with me every single time. It baffles me, just the difference in how it works. But back then it was like that. And one of my favorite stories, though, talking about getting sloshed on the golf course, is so my roommate in college, his name is Walker. His name is Walker. It's not was Walker. He didn't change it. But Walker and I'm going to give something away. My birthday falls somewhere around September 11th.
I can tell people.
It's not on September 11th, but it falls somewhere around that general area. So I took right after college. This was right after college. I took, and I graduated from college in 2001, folks. Walker and I decided to go to Minnesota, one, to see my family, obviously, and to see TJ up there because he was still up there, and for my birthday. So we drove up on September 10th, 2001. We get there in the middle of the night. We woke up the next morning to everything that was happening in New York City and Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia and Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So we were just, enamored. It was TJ had stayed the night. I think he was stayed either there or he came. I don't remember, but he was there. Walker was there. I was there. My stepfather was there. My mom, and we were just glued to the TVs all day watching what was happening, and not all day, because at about, I don't know, 11 in the morning, 10:30, 11.
Mm-hmm.
The three of us decided, we should go play golf.
Oh,
this is really disturbing. So let's go play golf. And of course, we had to find a golf course that was open because everyone was watching.
Sure.
We ended up at Izades, which is it's right on Lake Mille Lacs. So it was about 2 hours from where I live.
Yep.
So we drive up there and we had a blast, but we got smashed on the golf course playing 18 holes. Nobody else was on the course except for the cart girl or the beer girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I even have pictures. So Walker is a phenomenal guitar player. His major in college was jazz performance guitar. Mm-hmm. And so he's got the fingers. So when Walker plays golf, he puts gloves on both hands to protect his hands. So I've got a picture of Walker running with a club in one hand and his other hand up in the air like this, chasing a goose across the golf course. And it was, there was a lot of hijinks was happening at that point. But that was a very interesting memory. And then on 9/12, we decided to go to the Mall of America, which happened to be open, but you wouldn't think it was because we were, besides the people that were working in the shops, we were the only ones there. It was incredible. But that was my golf story. It was pretty funny. I guess you had to be there. Sorry for boring everyone else.
No, not at all. Sometimes it's just dealing with calamity like that and how people do it in different ways. And it was probably a really smart thing to do. Well, I'm serious. It was probably a really smart thing to do because some of us were out of town.
Oh, and you couldn't get home.
We kept our rental car. We were supposed to fly. Fortunately, we lived outside of Detroit, but we were in Chicago at the time, work-wise. And
so you weren't that far away.
No, drove from Chicago back home. And they were kind enough to let us keep the rental car. But I'm seriously on the phone. They go, keep the car. You're fine. Just return it there. We won't charge you any extra. Okay, nice. Well, that's good.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
I had a former coworker who he had a house in Ohio. And he was in Los Angeles because they also lived in Los Angeles. And he was flying from Los Angeles to Ohio, and they landed the plane somewhere between there.
Wow.
But he had to rent a car and drive all the way back to Ohio because no flights,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that would have been a long one.
When we've heard, of course, all those stories, and not to rehash them, but I have a friend who was a pilot, and he is a commercial for major airline, and they brought him down in Canada, and he was there for some time, let's just say.
Really?
So, just kind of a weird, you need to put it down now. And he said they were very insistent, and that's what we did. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was a crazy time.
It was a crazy time. And then you hear some of the, without opening a can of worms, you just see some of the stuff that amazes me and other stuff that doesn't. And I'm just, I will say the one thing, the Kennedy assassination files still have not been released.
Yep.
It's unconscionable that has not been done yet. And there are other things, but that to me is just the indicator of how far gone our government is.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's a whole other podcast, though.
It is, and we could go, and that's why I didn't want to start it. But something to think about.
It is something to think about. I'm going to recommend, and they're not a sponsor, I'm going to recommend another podcast for people that if you like conspiracy theories, there is actually a podcast called Conspiracy Theories.
Cut it out. Where did they come up with that name?
I don't know. It's some random name.
Because PoddiMouths was already taken.
Exactly. I was going to say they must have used AI.
They probably did. I did use that, by the way, just as a quick aside. And I don't think I told you this. Our pastor at our church is here's New Day Church.
Ding. Not a sponsor.
The bell here. Not a sponsor. Well, we'll talk more about that later. But our pastor, great guy. He has the quintessential redneck beard.
Okay.
Yours is not that.
Mine probably never will be either.
His is like the Duck Dynasty.
Nice.
They would call him for advice.
It's prodigious.
It is prodigious, yes. Not unlike some of our friends who have those prodigious beards. Great guy. and his nickname is Rusty, and that's what he goes by. So I did an AI search because I was trying to talk to him about maybe doing a podcast series for him about, explaining, answering questions that people have about faith, about the Bible, or about, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was interested. He's just so busy. It's, tough to get him to commit to it. But I did an AI search for a title and kind of gave him a little bit of a detail and came out with a perfect title, Rusty Faith. Just like,
that is excellent. That. You better buy that now. You better buy it. We're going to see if that's.
We're not making it a website, so I don't.
You need to. If there's going to be a podcast.
Well, we'll see if that happens. But anyway, I doubt if there will be because he just doesn't have the time to do it. But he said, but the name is awesome. I said, I know.
The name is awesome.
So anyway, we'll see how that that transpires.
What did you say, Rusty?
Rusty Faith.
Rusty Faith.
Faith. Yeah.
It's searching. It is available.
Of course it is. .com. All right. Well,
you're frozen. Oh no, you're back.
You're frozen.
Well, you're frozen.
You are. All right. Our Saturdays. This is our Saturdays. Good. Yeah. This has been a good use of a long
weekend. It is. And it's a long weekend, so you don't feel like it's too much work,
No, and I'm kind of glad we did the little road trip around Florida yesterday where we met up with the rotator cuff people. Because today would be a little different story, but it was already starting to get busy. That was kind of near the coast. And like, oh, yes, that's right. It is Labor Day. So people are going to be out. Oh, yes. And there's our frozen
That's good song.
Stuff, both of us.
Well, you're not frozen on my end. What happens is you go completely blurry and then your voice is just gone. So I just sit here and nod.
Yours too. Me too. Ditto. Yeah. Yours has happened 2 or 3 times.
But people are just thinking, why are they just sitting there nodding at each other?
They're such good listeners.
They are such good. Oh, if they only really knew.
Yes, exactly. And because we're nodding, we're going, I wish this technology crap would fix itself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to blame the storms in the area.
Me too. We should probably zip it up so we don't have something that falls apart like back in the old days.
Back in the old days. Way back when.
Yeah, that's
way
right.
back when.
So on that note.
Folks, TJ, keep me honest with everything that I've said. Fact check me because, most of that was over 30 years ago, if you can believe it.
Wow.
So, that's the first thing. Second thing is if you want to hear more of our wonderful voices and see our wonderful faces, visit PoddiMouths.com. Also go up to YouTube, check out all the places that you can listen to a podcast because we're probably there and all that good stuff. John,
buy some merch.
Buy some merch.
Buy some merch.
Those were the parting words.
Say our wonderful faces.
Wonderful
Honestly?
faces. No, I have a face for radio and a voice for silent film.
Ding.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm going to go drink now. You all have wonderful weeks. A wonderful day, John. Good. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, which will be 2 weeks from whenever this 2 weeks behind, but never mind. It doesn't matter. You just have a good weekend.
Everybody have a great weekend. See you.